I just want to go over my position on the vaccine right now. If it is in your best interest, whether that is personal risk, whether that is financial risk, if you want to get the vaccine, by all goddamn means. Am I going to? Fucks no. But with that said, if it is in you or your family's best interest, feel free to take it. I wouldn't be forcing it on anybody else, but hey, that's just my opinion because I look at the science. I actually look at the numbers. I dissect everything that comes across my table. And what we have here is some relatively new information. It's 11 days old. It's about as new as we're going to get. And it predicates something, okay? It's something we've been talking about as well. It is the government not having the balls to just full out institute either a citywide, statewide, or countrywide mandate in order to get the vaccine. They're going to use all of their powers to push that responsibility off to the private sector. We'll get to that, but we got to get to the science behind it all. This is what is driving all the fear and all the hysteria. Okay, it's the different variants. Okay, there are 3 variants in this study right here, even though there are a couple more that aren't noted or studied. So we'll get to those because I also have some more information as well. So first and foremost, it's the United Kingdom variant, okay? Even from when it was started out there, the first case was found in what? Mid-December there, yes, December 18th. The only thing that they could push out, the media this is that, oh, it's spreading so much faster. Well, we got some scientific facts behind this. At the time, it just looked like it was the more prevalent variant that was out there. It was taking the original strain, which was multi-layered in and of itself. It never really proved that it was going to affect vaccines anyway significantly. And we have more information on that as well. And it's all going to come crashing down. The B117 variant, the UK variant, was first described as in the United Kingdom on it was December 14th actually, and the 501Y.V2 variant is South African, from December 18th, and the P1 variant is from Brazil, or we'll see in the other science that we have, the other study that we have, it could either be from Brazil or Japan. That's a big fucking difference. These are the people who are in charge. By February 22nd, 2021, the UK variant was reported in 93 countries, the South African variant in 54, and the Brazilian or Japanese in 21. All 3 variants have the N501Y mutation, which changes the amino acid asparagine to tyrosine. Those are amino acids. It is important to virologists. It's important to looking at stuff at the cellular level, but for the layman, it's not terribly important. At position 501 on the receptor binding domain in the spike protein, I feel like I'm back in college. I'm not going to read out the technical term. I'm just going to tell you where they're from. So instead of saying 501Y.V2, that's just going to be South African. And the Brazilian is P1. Variants both have 2 additional receptor binding domain mutations, letters and numbers, and letters and numbers. These mutations increase the binding affinity of the receptor binding domain to angiotensin, something to do with the heart, and converting enzyme to ACE2 receptor. Okay, if I can remember my physiology course, ACE2 is something to do with energy production. Hence why one of the symptoms of COVID is sleepiness. That's just me. I'm just a lift doctor. That's all. 4 key concerns stemming from the emergence of the new variants are their effects on viral transmissibility, disease severity, reinfection rates, and vaccine effectiveness. Yes, and this is where all the hysteria is coming from. Except when you dig into the studies, you're gonna come out disappointed if you're looking to be fear-mongering. The South African variant spread rapidly in South Africa. Wow. Accounting for 11% of the virus sequence, 44 of 392 in the first week of October 2020, and 60% in the first week of November 2020, and 87% in December. And if you take a look at the different cases in South Africa, in October there was 392 total. In November there were 505 total. And then in December, there were 415 total. All around the same amount, and there's very little deviation. 400, shade over 400, 500, and it's not even going up. In fact, it goes up, and then it comes right back down. So, okay, that's sweeping, I guess. In Western Cape, a South African province, where the South African variant is predominant, a threshold of 100,000 cases of COVID-19 was reached approximately 50% more quickly in the second wave of infection than the first wave, 54 days versus 107 days. Okay, that could be a cause for concern. The South African variant has been estimated to be 50% more transmissible than pre-existing variants in South Africa. And the UK variant between 43 and 82, big fucking bars of air, more transmissible than pre-existing variants in the United Kingdom. So what does that mean? Well, that means that it is the more prevalent version or the more prevalent variant of that within the borders of South Africa and the United Kingdom. Other than that, what does it show? Not a whole lot. Hospital admission rates of diagnosed cases and the clinical profile of admitted patients were similar in the first and second waves of Western Cape. Okay. A preliminary analysis by the National Institute of Communicable Disease showed that the South African variant was associated with in-hospital mortality rates that was 20% higher than the second wave of South Africa than the first wave. Okay, cause for concern. Does that mean that it's 20% more dangerous? Well, this finding was due mainly to the greater transmissibility of the variant, which rapidly overburdened health services and thus compromised timely access to hospital care and quality of that care. Oh, so it comes down to the fact that South Africa doesn't quite have the same quality of care around the world. And evidence of that is the United Kingdom indicates that their UK variant may be associated with a higher risk of death than pre-existing variants in the United Kingdom. Although there is no evidence that antiviral agents and anti-inflammatory treatments, vaccines, and therapeutics any less effective with the emerging variants than with the pre-existing variants. Treatment with convalescent serum and monoclonal antibodies may not be as effective. So what does that tell you? That the current therapeutics and vaccines are no less effective on the new variants, but some treatments might not be. So we have a positive that everything is working so far, and maybe, perhaps, some things aren't. Interesting wording. With regard to escape from natural immunity, the UK variant showed a modest decrease in neuralization activity by a factor of 1.5, whereas the South African variant showed complete escape from neutralizing antibodies by 48% of convalescent serum samples obtained from patients who had previously had COVID-19. A serendipitous finding, so something that happened completely by accident, from a vaccine trial in South Africa in which 31% of the enrolled participants had previously been infected with SARS-CoV-2, the precursor to COVID-19, was the incidence of COVID-19. It just explains what I just told you. As confirmed on polymerase chain reaction was 7.9% among seronegative enrollees and 4.4%, geez, we would be actually dealing with something substantial, among seropositive enrollees in the placebo group. Negligible, absolutely negligible reinfection rates. This finding indicates that previous infection with pre-existing variants may provide only partial protection from reinfection with the South African variant. May and partial. Very important qualifiers to have in your study. And what are they using as science? Well, I got their table right here. As you can see, it is less than complete. You have so many non-applicable boxes here that it's amazing. And you have the different vaccines over here. You got the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Moderna, Galmea. I'm sure that one's from, it must be the Russian one. It's called Sputnik 5. Just a guess. AstraZeneca's, Novavax, Sinovac, Brazil and Turkey, and Sinopharm. I think that one is the Chinese one, but I can't be certain. And all you can see here is wholeheartedly incomplete data. Like the only one that they've actually studied are the Pfizer and the Moderna ones. Outside of that, everything else is just kind of like, it works. It's because the hysteria that's surrounding these different variants are driving the narrative. They are driving the narrative that the shutdowns are a great thing and that you just need to sack up and get the jab, you bigot. They do mention the two new variations down here at the bottom in a brief blurb. The emergence of these three new variants of concern highlight an importance of vigilance with a genomic surveillance. Let's pronounce it correctly, shall we? Surveillance for the early identification of future variants. So we need to have you on a constant leash all the time so we can continue to find out if there's any new variants that come along that show negligible differences to the original strain. Recently, 2 more SARS-CoV-2 variants, B1427 and 1429, which were first detected in California. Imagine that, you lock down several million people and then different variations in order for it to spread. They show up. Weird, right? Have been shown to be approximately 20% more transmissible than pre-existing variants and have been classified by the CDC as variants of concern. They have shown to be potentially more transmissible. The potential for variants to escape naturally induced and vaccine-induced immunity makes the development of the next generation vaccines that elicit broadly neutralizing activity against current and potential future variants a priority. The suppression of viral replication with both public health measures and the equitable distribution of vaccines is critical in reducing the risk of a generation of new variants. Yeah. And you know what this is code for? You know how that there is remember back in the old days in like 2019, there were seasonal flu shots, okay? Why is there year over year seasonal flu shots? Because the seasonal flu variates year over year, okay? How long have we been in this pandemic? How long have we needed to quarantine at home? How long have we had to stop the spread for? Over a year. Imagine that, a virus mutates. Yeah. Exactly. Is the vaccine going to catch everything? Well, it sure as fuck is casting a wide net. And this is just one study, okay? This is from the New England Journal of Medicine, okay? Not exactly a rinky-dink study, but we also have one of similar stature from the Mayo Clinic. You talk to any doctor, and Mayo Clinic's, if not the first, it's probably the second name that comes out of their mouth whenever they cite a medical study. And just for some context, this study or this article was published March 23rd. The other one was published March 24th. And they have more information on the 2 Californian variants. And they also have the indication that the P1 variant was from Japan as well. Something we didn't see at all in the New England Medicine Journal. And what do they say about this? Well, the UK variant appears to spread more easily. The South African variant appears to spread more easily. It also has a moderate impact on the effectiveness of the monoclonal antibody medications and moderately reduces the effectiveness of the antibodies generated by the previous COVID-19 infection and COVID-19 vaccine. Stuff that we looked at, and it was what, 5%? Maybe? Potentially? It was only because they found a serendipitous case. So is that indicative of the wider population? I don't know. I got to press X to doubt on that one. How about the Japan or Brazil variant? Oh, the white lab coats are really doing themselves a fucking favor by not nailing down either one side of the globe or the other. I'd forgive them if it was like provinces in Japan or Brazil, but you couldn't get too farther places across the globe, could you? But anyways, yeah, here's a little bit more science on this. This variant has a moderate impact on the effectiveness of monoclonal antibody medications. It also reduces the effectiveness of antibodies generated by the previous COVID-19 infection or a COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, care to show your work, or is it just going to be another one of those instances where it was negligible? Okay. And the California variant, number 1, 427. This variant appears to spread more easily. Appears. Okay, 20%, right? Is the best guess. It also has a significant impact on the effectiveness of some treatment and moderately reduces the effectiveness. Same disclaimer. This variant, the other one, the 29 variant, appears to spread more easily. It is a copy-paste of the previous one. The only thing that's different is just how it's made up when you look at it at a molecular level. So what have we found out? Very negligible differences between the variants, okay? It only is of concern if you are a virologist. What have we seen? That the vaccine is quite effective at dealing with most, if not all, the variants, okay? And your rate of reinfection from a different variant is about as likely as getting struck by lightning while you're parking your unicorn on the way to cash in your winning lottery ticket. So why did I give you that science lesson? Well, it's because the Nevada government is trying to kill themselves. Okay, they are trying to end up in the basement, getting caught by Ace Rothstein counting cards. They're going to get their knuckles broke. Because if you don't get the vaccine, you're a bigot, and we're going to revoke your gaming license. Yeah, Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Okay, the first couple of paragraphs are just an introduction. In the fulfillment of the aforementioned duties of the governor's roadmap to recovery, it's up there, and I can't believe we've gone so far from, just stay home for 2 weeks. I know I keep beating this into the ground, but it is very important because politicians lie. Imagine that, guys. It never hurts to restate the obvious over and over and over again on YouTube because it is amazing. It is amazing what I can't even call them leftists in good faith anymore. It's just the authoritarians out there. They can just throw out some of the dumbest shit. And this was an excellent point when I was listening to somebody, and I don't remember who it is. Otherwise, I would give them credit, and this is not my idea. But it's something that I've been picking up on. The people that we're in opposition to, okay? They can just throw out some of the dumbest shit on earth. And it's another reason why people who want to protect the populist, the right side, the libertarian-minded people, the freedom-minded people, we're always on the defensive. We always got to go in there and we got to clean up the moronic shit that is said about people. And then they can just, on the other side, keep hurling over dumb, unsubstantiated, unverifiable shit. Like the Matt Gaetz stuff right now, okay? I don't know if we have any new breaking information into that. I'll be taking a look here after we're done with this. But none of the stuff's been proven. There's talk right now. Oh, he's going to be indicted in the next couple of weeks. Oh, okay. Is there any evidence of it out right now? No, he's going to be indicted in the next couple of weeks. Okay, do you care to show your receipts or anything? No, he did it. 17-year-old girl across state lines. Any proof? No, you just got to go in there and you got to cleaning the shit off the walls. It's like these people are toddlers. You're just left alone in the room, and you're constantly chasing behind them and cleaning up right after them. They're smearing everything on the walls. They're drawing on the walls with crayons. And because we're in this society where you can't kick your kid down the stairs anymore, I joke. You gotta just pat them on the head and make sure your house doesn't turn into too much of a pigsty. So as far as I can see, the only way to win, if I may cite another source, 80s movie war games, the only way to win is not to play, okay? When they start making all of these ridiculous accusations, hire the right people, hire a lawyer, just say, speak to my lawyer. They can deal with it. Don't address it. Let them make out some of the most wildest accusations. Like, could you possibly believe, let's just say, I don't know, like a president would hire 2 Russian prostitutes to piss on a bed that Obama's might have stayed at before. Could you believe that shit? Yeah, you would if you worked at CNN or MSNBC. But that is a tangent. Quite a tangent. But that's the mindset of the people that we're dealing with here, okay? They can just make all these fanciful dreams into reality and try to impose it on you. Like, they're trying to impose the fact that those variants are the second coming of the Black Plague. This is worse than Ebola. This is worse than the Spanish flu. And it's all coming for you. And we got to shut down unless you get the jab. Key to this consideration is the status of vaccination penetration, sexy, especially in Vegas, within the state's hospitality workforce. Somebody needed a copy editor. Hospitality workers, many of which are front of house personnel interacting with visitors from around the globe, are critically positioned to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19, both within the industry and the community as a whole. Such viral surges are a continuing threat, are they, of the economic health of the gaming industry and the greater state, as they threaten, yes, you must concern yourself with the greater health of the state, comrade, as they threaten the hard-fought efforts undertaken over the last year to safely reopen. What a damning statement that is right there. Either do this, what we're telling you to do, or we're going to have to lock down, because repeated lockdowns have shown to be very successful. It's a punishment now. It was never, ever about doing anything of benefit. It was about punishment. More importantly, they are a continuing threat to the health and the well-being of a significant portion of the population. Oh yes, appeal to the lowest common denominator employed by the hospitality industry, making vaccination efforts an indispensable element in the board and commission's ongoing COVID-19 strategy. So what is all that preamble set up for? Well, these lingering threats are compounded by the new and much more contagious variants of the original COVID-19 sequenced virus, CoV-2. The better understanding of these threats posed by mutated strains of the virus considered the article the one that we started with, because this came across, and then I just had to look at what they're citing, and it's horseshit. It is horseshit. Published March 24th by the New England Journal of Medicine, the article explains that the 3 new variants of the original COVID-19 virus have rapidly become dominant within countries Have they? All I know is that they've shown up in a couple of different countries, 21 for the Brazilian or Japanese variant, many more for the UK, and somewhere in the middle for the South African variant. But that's rapidly dominant, and they're far more terrifying than the original. That's why we did the science lesson. New viral variants and a relatively low degree of vaccination penetration, sexy, within the hospitality workforce drives the board's current approach rooted in caution. Yes, once again, appeal to the lowest common denominator. Everybody needs to be safe at all times. We want everybody to look like the little kid at the end of Christmas Story, just walking around with so much padding on. As such, at the time, consideration by the board to increase gaming floor occupancy will only be taken in cases where licensees have taken measurable and material steps to vaccinate. Remember, it just used to be have the right cleaning efforts, social distance your machines. But now, no, you have to get vaccinated and thereby protect their workforce. Where licensees have taken measurable and material steps to vaccinate. Let's reread that apparently. Sorry. Illustrating the continued possibility of the virus resurgence, please consider data from Johns Hopkins COVID-19 resources hyperlinked below. You know what they link below? Okay, the Johns Hopkins map and scare tactics from New York, Michigan, and Connecticut. 3 of the worst states so far. The last time we talked about Connecticut was they thought about removing the mask mandate. They still haven't. And then NPR, France. We're going to go ahead and use France. Imposes third national lockdown as COVID-19 again surges. Because Macron, as good as he's been on calling out Islamic terrorism, he is still a complete bitch at heart. Licensees are reminded that any license or approval granted by the Commission of Board is a revocable privilege. So if you don't hop on the bandwagon, we're going to remove your right to create wealth and industry within our state. They cite the different court cases as well. The board will take action against those that place short-term gain in violation of current emergency directives or board health and safety standards above the well-being of its workforce. You know, if you shut down the biggest industry in your state because people are tired of being told what they have to do, how do you propose Nevada stays above water financially? Maybe that's why the Democrats own all of the casino unions. They can go ahead and just force this, use them as their guinea pigs to try to figure out how much private industry they can use in order to warp the perception, and then go from union to union, go from big corporation to big corporation in order to institute a national vaccine mandate without instituting a national vaccine mandate. Because it's all for the well-being, of course, comrade. Both the board and commission urges licensees to be proactive in arranging for vaccination opportunities for their workforce and to provide effective communication so that all employees that wish to avail themselves of such opportunities may do so. Right now, it's wish to avail yourself of it. Soon it will be you're going to have to if you want to stay employed because you're one of the frontline workers. Hell, you wouldn't want to spread it to anybody, even though asymptomatic spread is virtually zero. The thermometer checks are right up there at the front, and incoming vaccine passports, as much as it's a joke right now, they're coming, okay? And it's weird, right? It's the same crowd that is saying that voter identification is totally and utterly racist, unconstitutional, but these are the same people that are clamoring for you to show your papers whenever you go anywhere. That is just a hypocrisy that I can't quite comprehend. It's like, are you gonna have to show your vaccine passport in order to go vote? But I guess the new NPC programming hasn't been uploaded into everybody's system yet. So yeah, here's what the government is telling private businesses to do. Paid time off for staff for vaccination appointments, arranging transportation for employees to public vaccination sites like they do for union employees in Nevada whenever there's an election. You can go on your lunch break. They provide free busing in order for you to go to the polls and make sure that you cast your vote for blue, no matter who. Entering into public agreements with pharmacy partners and underwriting private vendors to administer vaccines on site using a POD distribution system. So yeah, in order for you to collect your paycheck, see, doesn't hurt. Make sure to rub that spot. And yeah, J. Bryn Gibson, chair of Nevada Gaming Control Board, and John T. Moran Jr., quite a moron, who looks like, I don't know, he probably just grabbed his pen with his fist. Like, who over the age of 12 still signs their name in all capitals? And he's the chairman of the Nevada Gaming Commission. This right here is the start, okay? This is how the government, like I said before in the video, is able to institute a vaccine mandate without having to sign an executive order, without having to pass any legislation. Because you really can't, okay? You got to be able to prove that the vaccine is a benefit to everybody else, that it is of no tangible risk to yourself, and that it is of a high degree of efficacy, rather. And if we wanted to use the science against them, it looks like the new variants, if you wanted to just go ahead and skew the numbers to fit your narrative, it looks like the vaccine wouldn't pass that. But that really doesn't matter to private industry because my private business can do whatever it wants. It's funny, right? Once again, I'm just pointing out some more hypocrisy because stating the obvious is always very important. The people who are all about my body, my choice, all of a sudden, when it's killing a child before it's born, that's totally fine. But yes, sticking experimental serum in your body, that's all of a sudden non-negotiable. We're up against people who are in power but do not have the numbers on their side, and they do not have the argumentative prowess to achieve their end goal. But unfortunately, like I said, they have the power, so they'll just continue to shovel shit onto our plate. And if we continue on the same path of just trying to wipe it clean over and over and over again, it is the reason why conservatives are incredibly ineffective at conserving anything. So stop playing the fucking game. Anyways, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.